I have got to show you what I am seeing. I'm seeing this. Hello, that's you. And down here, the biggest box of books you ever saw. If you are new to this channel, you're about to become part of an age-old tradition of unboxing the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. We unboxed the long list for the new non-fiction prize very recently, so you can go and watch that video after you've watched this one. But this one is the big tradition for me. This one's the big one. And most years I try and read all of the long list and predict, and sometimes I'm even right about it. I know. The box only arrived today, and today for you is yesterday, so I am gonna have to film this video without very many cuts. We don't have much time to get it up, so grab a big mug of tea is what I'm saying, because this is about to be very much like you're in the womb with me. This is what happens. You're about to become covered in in the mess that is my brain. Not in the womb, in the room with me, and we're going to unbox these books and you're going to get my first impressions, and then I'm going to tell you which ones I'm most excited about. If you haven't read any books from the Women's Prize Fiction long list before, can I tell you that for the past like 5 years running, I have always found some of my best reads of the year on this long list. It's genuinely just such a superstar, solid recommendation pool, and I often find unexpected books. If you've watched before and you remember my pod assumption versus my pod by Lelaine Paul outcome, you'll know that I definitely judge books by their covers, but sometimes I'm wrong, and the prize is a way that really draws attention for me to those books that I genuinely would have missed out on and would have stopped changing my life for the better. A big disaster, I think you'll agree. So without further ado, I'm going to unbox these books. I haven't looked, I just made sure that Craig opened the box and counted them, so we definitely have them all. Oh, do I have any last minute predictions? I think there's gonna be an Anne Enright. I think there is gonna be a Zadie Smith. And I think that there is going to be a book called Yellowface on the list, but I don't. I've only heard very mixed reviews of that, so I've only heard people say they hope it's not on the long list, but it might be. So okay, let's just go and see. Oh, I know. My last prediction is the Julia book, which is a retelling of 1984 from Julia's perspective. I think that's going to be on there, and I really hope it is, because I really freaking want to read it. Okay, let's go. Are you ready? Hold your noses. What's going to be the first? Okay, the first one is just a lot of wrapping. Stop it. Just making sure the books are good. Okay, I'm trying not to look down at the big pile and just going to pull them out. Okay. Oh, it's a hardback. A lot of them are going to be hardbacks, I think. Ooh. It's a good cover. Okay, this is called Brotherless Night. And what is this? Oh, Britt Burnett, who wrote The Vanishing Half, which I loved, she likes it, so that's cool. That's what I'm seeing on the end. And Danielle Evans, who is again a very, very good writer, so that's good. It actually goes with my outfit, not to be completely shallow, but just saying, I think this one's already chiming in. Let's see what it's about. Oh, from the Women's Prize long-listed author. Is that because she's been long-listed before? Or is that because they know that she's going to be long-listed, so they've printed it in? Either way, I respect the hustle. 16-year-old Sashi wants to become a doctor, but over the next decade, while a vicious civil war tears through her hometown of Jaffna, her dream spins off course as she sees those around her, including her 4 beloved brothers and their friend, get swept up in violent political ideologies and their consequences. Desperate to act, she must ask herself, is it possible to move through life without doing harm? Okay. Feels coming of agey. There is a hook there, but not much. There's actually not that much to go on from that blurb, so I don't really know how I feel about this one. I am really impressed by the cover though, and I think the title's really strong, like Brotherless Night. I love titles that tell a story in 2 words. That already tells a little bit of the story. So, okay, I'm holding out hope. That is the first one. Let's have a sip of tea, because we've got a long way to go. See if you can pick one of the next books you're going to read from this list as well. And then she fell. Another pretty good cover. Let's see what the back said. Okay, yes, this is technically called The Creation Story, but it's not the beginning. And Then She Fell is an urgent and unflinching look at spiritual inheritance, womanhood, denial, false allyship, which speeds into an unpredictable and surreal climax. So this is an Eve story, is what you're telling me. On the surface, Alice is exactly what she should be in life. She's given birth to a baby girl. Her ever-charming husband, an academic whose area of study is conveniently her own Mohawk culture, is nothing but supportive, and they've moved into a home in a wealthy neighbourhood. But strange things have started happening. Alice finds herself hearing voices she can't explain and speaking with things that should not be talking back to her, all while her neighbour's passive aggression begins to morph into something far more threatening. Ooh, this sounds dark, really interesting. So she's a Canadian Indigenous author, it looks like, from Ontario. And this feels like a kind of underlying, threatening, dark domestic novel with some haunting, maybe? That's just my impression. And with some social commentary on the idea of the fallen woman and spirituality. I'm just guessing. Okay, right. Don't look, Lena. Stop it. I'm such a perv when it comes to books. Stop looking at them. Okay, next one. Ooh. Kate Grenville, Restless Dolly Mordner, okay? Dolly is born at the end of the 19th century when society's long-locked doors are just starting to creak ajar for a determined woman. Growing up in a poor farming family in new rural Wales, Dolly spends her life doggedly pushing all those doors. A husband and two children do not deter her from her search for love and independence. I don't really think that tells us like anything. And it's a historical novel, which I'm not always, unless there's a hook for the historical novel or it's a retelling of somebody's actual life. Like, I'm not. That's the one I'm first. Like the first one, I'm feeling a bit like, I don't know about. Okay, next one. Oh, it's a thin one. Karen Lord, The Blue Beautiful World. Climate change. Oh, here we go. Okay. I was actually surprised that there wasn't a climate change book on the non-fiction list, I don't think. There was a few nature-related ones that mentioned climate, but there wasn't one. So this is interesting. I hate like, that is that not like year 9 PowerPoint presentation worthy cover? Hate that, but I'm intrigued, so let's read on. Climate change has radically transformed the planet. Meanwhile, Earth is being observed from afar by other civilians, and now they're ready to meet us. Vying to prepare humanity for first contact are a group of dreamers and changemakers, including Peter Hendricks, the genius inventor behind the most advanced VR tech, Carissa, a beloved celebrity icon with a passion for humanitarian work, and Kona, a member of a global council of young people drafted to reimagine the relationship between humankind and alien societies. And they may have an unexpected secret weapon. Owen, a pop star megastar whose ability to connect with his adoring fans is more than charisma. His hidden talent could be the key to uniting Earth as it looks towards the stars. Okay, this sounds absolutely wacky, but I'm actually kind of here for it. This sounds so weird, and also kind of interrogating fame as well as aliens. If it's too sci-fi-y, I'm not a huge sci-fi reader, but if it's kind of character-driven literary, like, I don't know, not too much going into the way the world's built and stuff, I'm interested. I'm open to experimenting. A wild card, but I kind of love it. Okay, what is next? Oh, our first paperback. What have we got? The Maiden by Kate Foster. I don't love the cover. I don't like these kinds of drawings. Okay, let's see. Edinburgh. Interesting. October. I have no opinion on what month a book is set in. 1679. Okay, I'm actually kind of interested. Christian Nimmo is arrested and charged with the murder of her lover, James Forrester. News of her impending trial is splashed across the broadsides with headlines that leave little room for doubt. Adulterous whore. Murderous. Only a year ago, Lady Christian was leading a life of privilege and married respectability. What led her to... I'm already bored. I'm not sure, everyone. I don't know. I think it's a little bit like Alias Gracie, but doesn't have the hook. I'm not sure. It feels a bit cliched. I don't know. Okay, next one. River East, River West. Shanghai 2007. I love that everyone just tells you right at the beginning, like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I personally think it's a bad thing because I don't care about where something's set as the first, like, it's not the most important thing for me. And it also isn't the most important thing for me, like, what date it's set. So you often run the risk of putting somebody off if you tell them that first. Like, it just gives you an idea in your head, like, whatever your previous preconceptions are, like a time, a location and a date, put something in a box that I don't think it needs to be put in. That's my personal opinion about blurbs. I just think, why is that the first? It could be the second thing. It could be the third thing. I'm not saying don't put it in the blurb or it's not relevant. It's not going to draw people in, but like, why is it always the first thing? Anyway, Shanghai 2007. Feeling betrayed by her American mother's engagement to their rich landlord, Lu Fang, 14-year-old Alva begins plotting her way out. But the American school in Shanghai, a potential ticket to study abroad, turns out to be more exclusive and seedier than she imagined. Oh, and then there's another setting. Okay, Qingdao, 1985. Lu Fang, newly married with a young son, is a lowly shipping clerk. Though he aspires to a bright future, he is one of many casualties of harsh political reforms. Then China opens its doors to foreigners and capital, and Lu Fang meets a woman who makes him question what he should settle for. Decades later, will he and his restless stepdaughter find common ground? I actually really like that concept. So if I'm getting this right, it's about a girl who hates her stepfather, and then it's the story of how her stepfather met her mother and who he was before he was who he is in the present day, and them finding common ground to like each other. I'm intrigued. That's also very intriguing. That's going on my intrigued pile. I'm interested to hear more about that. That's what I've got to say about that. Okay, next one. Let's go. We're steaming through these, or it feels like we are. You probably feel like you've been here for a freaking million years. Ordinary Human Failings. That is a good title, isn't it? This is the cover. Black and white, bright orange spine. What do we have here? When we look behind the headlines, everyone has a story to tell. It's 1990 in London. And Tom Hargreaves has it all. A burgeoning career as a reporter, a fierce ambition and a brisk disregard for the peasants, ordinary people, his readers, easy tabloid fodder. His star looks set to rise when he stumbles across a scoop. A dead child in a London estate, grieving parents loved across the neighbourhood, and the finger of a suspicion pointing at one reclusive family of Irish immigrants and bad apples, the Greens. At their heart sits Carmel, a beautiful, otherworldly, broken, and once destined for a future beyond her circumstances until life and love got in the way. This is a very messy blurb. What is happening? Okay, do we need to know all of this? Crushed by failure and surrounded by disappointment, there's nowhere for her to go and no chance of escape. Now with the police closing in on the suspect and the tabloids hunting their monster, she must confront the secrets and silences that have trapped their family for so long, for generations. Okay, so it's about a tabloid journalist who is crunching down on suspects in a murder case who are a family of Irish immigrants who I'm assuming have been treated badly by everybody else, because that is 1990 London, probably. Sounds okay. I didn't love the blurb, but I do think the concept's interesting and the cover's really good, which I'm not supposed to be judging on, but it is a good cover. So I'm okay. So far I haven't found anything that I'm like, yes, come on. So I'm really hoping it's in here. Let's keep going. Another hardback. Ooh, Night Bloom. Looks like this. Growing up in the same Ghanaian town, Selassie and Akorfa are more than just cousins, they're best friends. The girls share everything, but as they enter their teens, Selassie begins to change, constructing a wall around herself designed to keep everyone away, etc., etc. It will take many years for their paths to cross again. Akorfa now works in international development as she navigates the challenges of life as a black woman and mother in the US. Selassie is a successful restaurateur running the hottest spot in Accra. And when an incident at her restaurant puts Selassie in danger, the women must overcome their differences. Okay, so it's about two friends that are cousins that grow apart and then their lives cross again and they have to work out whether they would like to support each other. And I'm assuming there are some twists and turns. Again, it doesn't sound bad, but there's no like big intrigue plot point there that I'm like, oh, how would one resolve that? Or that's something I've never read about before. So I'm interested. I'm not uninterested, but Not so sure. Okay, let's keep going. Ooh, a short one. Here she is. Ooh, I like this cover. Look at this cover. That's cool, isn't it? It looks like one of those pictures you look at with the illusion where it's a building that's the right way up and upside down at the same time. Okay, please let this one be interesting. Okay, it's called Hangman. Let's have a little look. A man returns home to sub-Saharan Africa after 26 years living in exile in America. When he arrives, he finds that he doesn't recognise the country or anyone in it. Thankfully, someone at the airport knows him, a man who calls him brother. As they travel to this man's house, the purpose of his visit comes into focus. He is here to find his real brother, who is dying. Hangman is a tragicomic journey through homecoming and loss. It's hilarious and twisted odyssey, peopled by phantoms and tricksters, aid workers and traffic drivers. Okay, so this feels like more of a kind of small story. I am intrigued, like why this man has turned up at the airport that calls him brother, but he has no idea, and he's trying to seek his brother. I'm intrigued, and it's short. And I think the description of it being a tragicomic as well makes me feel like hopeful there's going to be something a bit different. So I'm feeling good about that one, actually. I think I might be going on the feeling good pile. And I'm feeling a paperback. Soldier Sailor. I saw some people predict that this would be in here, so it's interesting to see that it is. Well done to those people who predicted that it would be. Claire Kilroy. I've heard of her before. I think she is a name. In her wildly acclaimed new novel, Claire Kilroy creates an unforgettable heroine whose fierce love for her young son clashes with the seismic change to her own identity. As her marriage strains and she struggles with the questions of autonomy, creativity, and the passing of time, an old friend makes a welcome return. But can he really offer a lifeline to the woman she used to be? Interesting. I think I'm interested in the idea of like somebody's relationship to motherhood changing as they change as a person, and especially how it relates to their creativity. I'm interested. I think that I also really like the title, the kind of soldier, sailor, tinker, spy. Am I making that up? Anyway, I like the kind of like aspect of that. I don't know why. It's an intriguing title. So we'll see. I think it all depends on how it's written, and good cover again. I really like illustrated covers, so that one was nice, but it's nothing that has faces on. Don't know why. I can't think of the last time I liked a cover that had a face on it. Anyway, moving on from my prejudices. Hello. Enter Ghost. I was going to buy this. I saw it in a bookshop when I was in Sheffield a few weeks ago, and I almost bought it. Now it's here. It's found me again. You know when you have a book that you're like, I know you. We've been at the same party before. Okay, let's see. But I think I'm going to read this one already because I've already read this blurb at some point, and obviously it made me almost buy it. So let's see. After years away from her family's homeland and reeling from a disastrous love affair, actress Sonia returns to Hafia to visit her older sister Haneen. While Haneen made a life here commuting to Tel Aviv to teach at the university, Sonia remains in London to focus on her acting career and now dissolute marriage. On her return, she finds her relationship to Palestine is fragile, both bone deep and new. This is why I wanted to read it. When Sonia meets the charismatic and candid Mariam, a local director, she joins a production of Hamlet in the West Bank. Soon, Sonia is rehearsing Gertrude's line in a classical Arabic with a dedicated group of men who, in spite of their competing egos and priorities, all want to bring Shakespeare to that side of the wall. Ooh! Combination of something set in Palestine, which I'm incredibly interested in reading about at the moment for obvious reasons, and that it's a Shakespeare, like people adapting Shakespeare and looking at it in their context. I am kind of very much in. And this is the most positive I felt about a book so far, actually. This is going straight to the top. Oh, yes. And a beautiful cover as well. I really like that. Okay. Good. Let's keep going. What could be next? I'm going to fall off. I need to hold on to something. I'm going to fall off. I'm getting to the bottom of the box. Okay. 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster. Slave, escape artist, murderer, terrorist, spy, lover, mother are the subtext words on this cover, and it's foiled. Haven't had any foil yet. People are skimping. Where's my foil, publishers? Yeah, really nice cover. I'm intrigued. Let's go. At the Golden Sunset Retirement Home, old people. I love a book about old people. At the Golden Sunset Retirement Home, it is not unusual for residents to invent stories. So when elderly Miss Monk first begins to unspool her memories, the obituarist listening to her is sceptical. Stories of captivity, friendship, murder, adventure, assumed identities, and spying. The stories take place in World War II Indonesia, in Bergen during the Korean War, in the Cold War in China. The stories are so colourful and various, at times so unbelievable, that they can't all surely belong to the same woman, can they? As playful and thoughtful as this is compelling, as brutal and harrowing as it is archingly poignant and tender, this is a novel about love, war, deceit, betrayal, about identity, storytelling, and the trickery required for survival. I'm interested in the concept. I hate when blurbs just list so many things that a book... I'm like, it can't be all of those things. Stop it, or don't overpromise, because it makes me feel like you're going to underdeliver, when otherwise I'd just have been like happily excited to stumble upon all of those things in one book. But I really like that it's told from an old person's perspective, and it is about somebody who has loads of different unbelievable lives. So I'm very, very interesting. Next, what are we going to go for? There's lots of books that aren't turning up in this list so far, so I'm kind of surprised by the absence, but also excited by the absence, because it means that lots of those books, while I haven't read them, are very critically acclaimed. So if these books are, by the judges' measure, better than those books, then I'm very, very interested. Pam Williams, A Trace of Sun. What's this cover? Why is it here? Stop doing this to me. Oh, it looks like a shit postcard. Okay, right. Clear your mind, Lena. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about the blurb. Trust the process. Don't go, mammy, please. Stuttered words filled her ears, sent frisons of guilt through her as she bent over him, held him to her thumping chest, tears sliding from her face to his. Rahif is left behind in Granada when his mother, Cilia, follows her husband to England to search for a better life. When they're finally reunited 7 years later, they are strangers, and the emotional impact of the separation leads to the events that rip their family apart. As they try to move forward with their lives, his mother's secret will make Rahif question all he has ever known of who he is. Really doesn't tell me very much. I can't go off that. That's not a blurb. Stop it. That doesn't tell you what's it... No, I don't want to... No, I don't think... I don't know. It's not a whole blurb. It feels like that isn't enough for me to go off to decide whether I want to read this or not. There must be more intrigue in the book than that. It's long. So I don't know if it's just the way the blurb's written, but like, that's not enough. I don't... Of course, if you're separated from your parent for 7 years, like, they're going to feel like strangers at first. And there's got to be an explanation as to why they did it, although I can kind of guess the explanation because they kind of say what the explanation is on the back. So there's just no intrigue in there for me. I'm not sure about the cover. I don't know if I'll get to that one. We'll see. Shade, Lena. Wow, you get so grumpy in your old age. Have a sip of tea, for God's sake. Okay, next. Oh, I don't know how many we've got to go now. I haven't been counting. Oh, okay. This is the one that a lot of people predicted would be in there. Anne Enright, who has won the Booker before. I think she's won the Women's Prize before. Potentially. She's a very nice woman. I've interviewed her, I think, at least once, maybe twice. She's very talented. She's very, very well known. Not surprised she's on the list. I think when somebody is shortlisted or wins, they're automatically re-entered into the prize as well. So there's that. So this is called The Wren. The Wren. Carmel has been... Another Carmel. That's two characters in books, both called Carmel. Has been alone her whole life. The baby knew this. They looked at each other and all of time was there. The baby knew how vast her mother's loneliness had been. Carmel's daughter Nell, funny, brave and much loved, is a young woman with adventure on her mind. As she sets out into the world, she finds her family history hard to escape. For her mother, Carmel, Nell's leaving home opens space in her heart where the turmoil of a lifetime begins to churn. And across the generations falls the long shadow of Carmel's famous father, an Irish poet of beautiful words and brutal actions. This is a meditation on love. Spiritual, romantic, darkly sexual, or genetic. A generational saga that traces the inheritance not just of trauma, but also of wonder. This is a testament to the glorious resilience of women in the face of promises, false and true. That is how you write a blurb. That is a good, I like that. Again, it's a very simple premise, so it's really hard to say like, oh, I'm excited to read it, because there's really not much to go on again. In summary, a woman who is lonely has a child and she loves her very much, and then the child grows up and leaves home and leaves a space in her heart, and while she has left home, she reflects on the history of her family, which is what anyone would do, and everybody does do when they leave home. So I'm sure this is really good, because Anna Wright is a very talented writer, and I might give it a dip in anyway to see how it's written. But like, again, I think maybe this is a year of form over plot, because these books must be really good, but plot-wise, I'm not getting like really intriguing vibes, so they must just all be really, really well written. Okay, next. No, actually, I can't put that on that pile. That's got to go over here. It's not quite in the intrigue pile. Sorry, everybody. Okay, I think it's the second to last. Western Lane, a short one. Oh, nice thick pages, and it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year. So again, that's interesting. Where's the blurb? Hello? Is the blurb here? Did you miss the blurb? What's going on? God damn it, guys, there's no blurb. I'm not kidding, there's only quotes. I'm gonna Google this, but I shouldn't have to Google this. This is not, guys, get it together. I see this occasionally in bookshops, and I think, that's messy. Obviously it wasn't a priority book. If this has already been a Booker shortlisted book, somebody's reprinted this and thought, yeah, everything looks good with this, we'll just go to print. What the fuck? Anyway. Okay, here we go. 11-year-old Gopy has been playing squash since she was old enough to hold a racket. Oh, this is the one about sport that everybody was talking about. I think I would recognise I recognise the hardback cover. When her mother dies, her father enlists her in a quietly brutal training regime, and the game becomes her world. Slowly she grows apart from her sisters. Her life is reduced to the sport, guided by its rhythm, the serve, the volley, the drive, the shot, and its echo. But on the court, she is not alone. She is with her pa. She is with Ged, a 13-year-old boy with his own formidable talent. She is with the players who have come before her. She is in awe. Okay, I'm actually thankfully intrigued, considering my ill wishes towards this book with no blurb. I really like books about people who are really focused on their skill or talent or career, whatever it is. Like, I'm fascinated. Like, my favourite one I think is by Min Kim, called Gone, about a woman who's obsessed with playing violin, and I like those kind of things. So actually, even though it's a book about sport, I'm gonna reach inside myself and remember the girl who loves Eat, Sweat, Play and books like that. Anna Kessel has taught me not to be prejudiced against this, and I actually think that this is going to be on my to-read list because it's short and it sounds really intriguing from the way it's told, and also I think that's why do I need to have 3 reasons to read it? I think I'm interested. Okay, cool. I think this is the last book. Okay, let's see. Oh, a pink one to end. Oh, and look, on the back it tells me what the book's about. In Defense of the Act by F.E. Black. Oh, we've got a bookmark. Are we more like a coffee bean, a carrot, or an egg? What happens to us when we are boiled in the trials and tribulations of life? Jessica Miller is fascinated by the somewhat perplexing tendency of humans to end their own lives, but she secretly believes such an act may not be that bad after all. At least she did. Jessica is coming to terms with her own relationships and reflecting on what it means to be queer when a single event throws everything she once believed into doubt. Can she still defend the act? Okay, hot topic. Oh, what is this font? We were doing so well. Sorry. What the hell is going on at number 10? Well, that's very upsetting. I was about to say, concept, hot topic, very daring and interesting. First line of the blurb, we win. Are we more like a coffee bean, a carrot, or an egg? Thank you for some originality. I'm excited. The first quote on the back indicates that it's about a death-obsessed scientist, Jess, as well. So I like that description as well. It's all sounding very intriguing, but unfortunately I am going to have to get the ebook or the audiobook or something because that font is hurting my eyes. Okay, interesting. Let me tell you the books that I am most excited to read. I think we know the reasons I'm not excited to read some of the other ones. Maybe I'll get to them, maybe I won't, but I'll tell you what's going to be on my nightstand. These are the 6 that are going to be on my nightstand. If I'm right and this is actually the shortlist, I will be so impressed and a little disturbed. But let me tell you, just run them through which ones I'm most excited about. The Blue Beautiful World, weirdest blurb, wins a place in my heart automatically. So weird. I'm excited. Enter Ghost, an incredibly important place to read about right now, and also a twist on that narrative and intrigue in like performing Hamlet there. So full marks. And also I just think this is going to be good because I was already attracted to it when we met each other by chance in a bookshop. This one, Hangman, problem, don't actually remember what it's about. Maybe that means I'm not as excited about it as I thought. Oh yeah, this is the guy who returns to sub-Saharan Africa and is trying to find his relative, but people know him and he doesn't know why. Intriguing. The 7 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster. Intrigued by this, again, because it's the looking back at somebody's life and how exciting it is and told from an old person's perspective. It has I can already tell it has a shape to the story, and I like that. That feels like a good place to go into, knowing the shape of the story and being intrigued by that, and like as a reader being in a kind of semi-contract about that. So interesting. Western Lane, which we did work out what the blurb was about, and I'm excited. Yeah, again, I'm excited about that one. And then In Defense of the Act looks controversial. I think this is like an indie press. I don't recognise the name of this press. So again, really interested to see how original this is. It feels like it could be quite original, but we have to see. If you haven't watched my Women's Prize videos before, I'm of the opinion that for something to win, to not just be like, yes, very good book, you're good at writing, this is worthwhile reading, but to win, I think the prerequisite has to be that it has to be either doing an old thing but really well, so like in the tradition of other writers, but like either doing it better or just pulling off something that's really hard to pull off, something like a quiet novel but just written really thoroughly well in a way that's more immersive than any other book, like those kinds of things. Or it has to be something really feeling new, like I haven't read it before, like it's something that's really trying to invent or riff off what's been done before. Which again is kind of hard to pull off because there's so many freaking books in the world. I've read a small fraction of it and I'm like a book addict, so it is hard, and I'm hoping that at least one of these can do that for me. I'm excited to dip in. I would love to hear in the comments which books you might pick up or are most excited to look at, or ones that you would pick up if you did have time, because I know that not everybody makes as much time to read as me. Thank you so much to the Women's Prize for sending me these books as you do every year. It's very generous of you, and it means that I can get the video up as the long list is announced. The shortlist is going to be announced at the end of April, I believe, and then the winner is announced in June. So if you want to read along, those are your deadlines. Thank you so much for watching. This video is made possible by the Gumtree Club, who tip me per video to make sure these videos keep happening. And I'm also going to be starting a Women's Prize group chat on the Patreon app for patrons. So if you would like to read along with other people who are reading the Women's Prize, join the Patreon, you can do that there. Thank you so much for watching. Now piss off, it's time for me to start reading Frog Snoggat.